We've already shipped our furniture, my sister announced at dinner. Mom and Dad agree, your vacation home is too big for one person. I smiled and checked my phone. The demolition crew was right on schedule. The fork in my hand felt suddenly heavy as Jessica's words hung in the air between us. Around the table at Mom and Dad's house, everyone kept eating like she'd just announced the weather forecast instead of casually declaring theft of my property. I'm sorry, what? I set down my fork carefully, buying myself a moment to process what I just heard. Jessica dabbed her mouth with her napkin, that familiar condescending smile playing at her lips. The beach house, Amanda. We've already moved our stuff in. The moving truck left Charleston this morning. Should arrive in Florida by tomorrow afternoon. My mother reached over and patted my hand. Sweetie, be reasonable. You're only there maybe 2 weeks out of the year. Jessica and Brian have 3 kids who would actually use it. It just makes sense. I looked around the table. My father wouldn't meet my eyes, suddenly very interested in his pot roast. My brother-in-law Brian had the decency to look slightly uncomfortable, but not uncomfortable enough to say anything. Their kids, thankfully, were eating in the other room. That's my house, I said slowly, clearly. The one I bought with my own money. The one that has my name on the deed. Jessica laughed, that tinkling sound that had grated on my nerves since childhood. Oh, don't be so dramatic. You make plenty of money with your little tech job. You can buy another one. We need this one. Think of your nieces and nephew. My little tech job. I was a senior software engineer at a Fortune 500 company, but Jessica had never bothered to understand what I actually did. To her, anything involving computers was just playing around on the internet. Does anyone want to hear what I think about this? I asked, looking at each of them in turn. We've already decided, Mom said firmly. Family shares. You've always been so selfish with your things, ever since you were little. This is a chance to finally be generous. Something cold settled in my chest. This wasn't new. Jessica had always been the golden child, the one who got married at 22, pumped out kids, and fulfilled every traditional expectation my parents had. I was the one who went to MIT, who chose career over marriage, who apparently couldn't be trusted to know what to do with my own property. I see, I said quietly. I pulled out my phone, pretending to check something. The screen showed a text from Derek, my contractor friend, "Crew's ready when you are. Just say the word." I'd planned this 3 months ago, the moment Jessica had first mentioned how unfair it was that I had a beach house. She'd been needling me about it ever since, dropping hints, making passive-aggressive comments about how some people hoarded resources while others struggled to give their children experiences. I'd installed cameras the next week. Watched as she'd made copies of my keys during Thanksgiving when she thought I was in the bathroom. Seen her and Mom drive down to scope out the place, measuring windows for curtains that would never hang there. So the furniture arrives tomorrow? I asked pleasantly. Yes, Jessica said, brightening now that I seemed to be accepting this insanity. Isn't it exciting? The kids are going to love having a beach house to visit. We're thinking of going down for spring break. I typed a quick text, green light. Proceed with demolition. The response came back immediately, on it. Should be done by morning. I slipped my phone back into my pocket and picked up my fork. Well, I hope you enjoy it. Mom actually smiled at me, like I was a child who'd finally learned to share her toys. There's my good girl. You'll see, this is better for everyone. I finished my dinner, listening to Jessica prattle on about her decorating plans, how she'd always hated my minimalist bachelor aesthetic and planned to make it actually livable. She wanted to paint the walls, change out all the furniture, maybe even knock down a wall or two to open up the space. Sounds like you've got it all figured out, I said. An hour later, I hugged everyone goodbye. Jessica grabbed me for an extra long hug. Thank you for being so mature about this, she whispered. I know it's hard for you to think about anyone but yourself. I smiled. You have no idea what's coming. What? She asked. I said, have a great time down there. The drive back to my apartment in Atlanta took 40 minutes. I spent them thinking about every slight, every dismissal, every time my family had treated me like an ATM with legs. The beach house had been my reward to myself after a brutal project that had earned my company millions. I'd found the property, negotiated the purchase, designed every detail of the renovation. And they'd just decided it was theirs now? My phone rang as I was unlocking my door. Derek. You sure about this? He asked. Because once we start, there's no going back. I'm sure. How long will it take? Demo crew's already in position. They'll work through the night. By dawn, it'll be a concrete slab. We'll have the rubble cleared by noon. Perfect. Make sure you get good footage. I want every angle documented. Already on it. Got 4 cameras running. This is the wildest thing I've ever been asked to do, and I once had a client ask me to build a moat. I laughed, the first genuine laugh I'd had all day. Send me the live feed. You got it. Amanda? For what it's worth, your family sounds like they suck. You have no idea. I hung up and opened my laptop. Derek's text came through with a link. I clicked it and watched as the camera feed loaded. There it was, my beautiful beach house, the one I'd spent 2 years designing and building. Modern architecture, floor-to-ceiling windows, a deck that overlooked the ocean. I'd chosen every tile, every fixture, every paint color. And in about 6 hours, it would be gone. The demolition crew was already setting up. I watched them place the charges, string the deck cord, prepare the equipment. They were professionals, the kind who handled controlled demolitions for a living. Derek had called in favors to make this happen so quickly, and I'd paid premium rates for the overnight rush job. Worth every penny. I made myself some tea and settled in to watch. Around midnight, my phone rang. Jessica. Hey, I answered, keeping my voice sleepy. What's up? Did you cancel the utilities at the beach house? My heart skipped. What? No. Why? The power company says the account was closed. And the internet's out. And the water's been shut off. She sounded irritated, not alarmed yet. That's weird. Maybe it's just a mistake. Can't you call them in the morning? I guess. It's just annoying. We wanted to have everything ready for when the furniture arrives. I'm sure it'll be fine. Try to get some sleep. She hung up, grumbling. I hadn't actually canceled the utilities, but Derek had suggested cutting the power to make sure no one drove by and saw the lights on during demolition. The story about account closure was just the power company's standard line when service was interrupted. At 2 a.m., the charges went off. Even through the camera feed, the sound was incredible. The house folded in on itself like a house of cards, walls crumbling, roof collapsing, glass shattering. The crew had done it perfectly, bringing it straight down into its own footprint. Dust billowed into the night air, caught in the floodlights they'd set up. I watched 3 years of work disappear in 30 seconds. And I smiled. But then, something unexpected happened. As I watched the dust settle on the screen, memories started flooding back. Not just of building the house, but of everything that had led to this moment. I remembered the day I'd gotten my first real paycheck from the tech company. I'd called Mom, excited to share the news. That's nice, sweetie, she'd said, distracted. Jessica just told us she's pregnant with her third. Isn't that wonderful? The conversation had shifted entirely to Jessica's news, my accomplishment forgotten in under a minute. I remembered every Christmas where Jessica's kids got elaborate gifts while I got practical items. You don't need fun things, Mom had explained once. You're so serious about your career. As if choosing a different path meant I didn't deserve joy. I remembered the time I'd won a major industry award, something that had taken years of work to achieve. The family group chat had gone silent when I shared it. 2 hours later, Jessica had posted about her son's kindergarten graduation, and suddenly everyone had plenty to say. The house on my screen, now just a pile of rubble, had been my way of proving something to myself. That I could create something beautiful. That my success meant something tangible. That I deserved a space that was entirely mine. I got up and poured myself a bourbon, something expensive I'd been saving. Tonight felt like the right occasion. As I swirled the amber liquid in the glass, I thought about the last time I'd been at the beach house. It had been 3 months ago, right after I'd installed the cameras. I'd spent the weekend there alone, reading on the deck, cooking elaborate meals just for myself, swimming in the ocean at dawn. It had been perfect. Peaceful. Mine. On that trip, I'd walked through every room, touching the walls, remembering the decisions that had gone into each detail. The kitchen backsplash I debated for weeks before finding the perfect tile. The master bathroom with the rainfall shower I designed specifically for the water pressure in that area. The built-in bookshelves in the living room, crafted by a local carpenter who'd become a friend. I'd known, even then, that Jessica was planning something. The way she'd been talking, the questions she'd been asking about what if someone needed to stay there long-term and wouldn't it be nice to have family nearby. I'd felt it coming like a storm on the horizon. That's when I'd called Derek. I need you to do something for me, I'd said. And you're going to think I'm crazy? Hit me, he'd replied. I need you to line up a demolition crew. The kind that can move fast if I give the word. And I need them to be ready to take down a house. There had been a long pause. Your beach house? My beach house. Amanda, that place is gorgeous. You just finished it. I know. But I'd rather destroy it myself than watch someone else take it from me. Derek had sighed, but he understood. He'd been there through the whole build, had seen how much of myself I'd put into that place. Okay. I'll make some calls. But promise me you'll really think about this before you pull the trigger. I promise, I'd said. I thought about it every day since. And every day, Jessica had pushed a little harder. The hints became demands, became assumptions, became plans. By the time she announced at dinner that she'd already shipped her furniture, I was past the point of hesitation. Now, watching the cleanup crew work through the night, I felt something I hadn't expected: relief. Not just satisfaction or vindication, but genuine relief. Like a weight I hadn't realized I'd been carrying had finally lifted. My phone buzzed. A text from an old college friend, Maya. She was one of the few people I'd told about the situation beforehand. "Did you do it?" she asked. "It's done," I typed back. "How do you feel?" I thought about that for a moment. "Free," I replied. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, good. They deserved it. Dinner next week? Definitely. I turned back to the screen. The heavy machinery was making quick work of the debris. These guys were professionals, the kind who'd demolished everything from old hotels to obsolete office buildings. A beach house was nothing. My mind wandered to the conversation I'd had with my lawyer 2 weeks ago, when I told her my plan. "You want to demolish $1 million property?" Karen had asked, incredulous. "I want to make sure no one can steal it," I corrected. "Amanda, there are other ways to handle this. Restraining orders, property protection. They have keys," I'd interrupted. "Keys they copied without my permission. And my parents think they have the moral authority to decide what happens to my property. A restraining order won't fix that. But demolition will." Karen had been quiet for a long moment. "You know what? You're right. It's your property. Do whatever you want with it. Just make sure all the permits are in order." "Already done," I'd assured her. That had been the tricky part. Getting emergency demolition permits approved, especially for a relatively new structure, required justification. I'd claimed structural concerns, potential foundation issues that would be too expensive to repair. It wasn't entirely false. I'd found a friendly inspector who'd documented some minor settling that could, theoretically, become a problem. Enough to justify demolition if the owner wanted to pursue it. The permits had cost me extra, rushed through in under 2 weeks. Worth it. Now, watching the last of the walls come down, I thought about what Jessica would see when she arrived. The moving truck would pull up to an empty lot. She'd get out, probably thinking she had the wrong address at first. Then the realization would hit her. The house was gone. Not damaged, not under renovation, not temporarily inaccessible. Gone. I wondered how long it would take her to call me. Would she try Mom and Dad first? Would she think it was some kind of elaborate prank? Would she immediately jump to the truth, or would she cycle through denial first? Part of me wished I could be there to see her face. But that would have been petty, and besides, the cameras would capture everything. Derek had promised me that much. I finished my bourbon and poured another. On screen, the demo crew was taking a break, standing around the significantly reduced pile of rubble, probably discussing the next phase of cleanup. One of them was pointing at something, maybe a piece of debris they needed to be careful with. Another was checking his phone, maybe texting his wife that he'd be home soon. They had no idea they were part of the most expensive screw you in my family's history. To them, it was just another job, another structure coming down to make way for something new. Except there would be nothing new. Just an empty lot. A statement in negative space. My thoughts drifted to Brian, Jessica's husband. He'd always been quieter than her, less openly antagonistic toward me. But he'd gone along with all of this, hadn't he? He'd helped plan the theft of my property, had probably consoled Jessica through her complaints about my selfishness, had certainly benefited from the plan. I wondered if he tried to talk her out of it, or if he'd been all in from the start. Probably the latter. Brian had always struck me as someone who followed Jessica's lead, who found it easier to go along than to push back. Well, now he was stuck with a $70,000 furniture bill and nowhere to put any of it. Maybe he'd finally develop a spine and tell Jessica this was her fault. But probably not. The sun was starting to rise on the Florida coast, the sky lightening from black to deep blue to pale pink. The cameras captured it beautifully, this dawn breaking over destruction. There was something poetic about it, something that felt right. I thought about all the sunrises I'd watched from that deck. The morning swims, the coffee while reading the newspaper, the peaceful solitude of having a space that was entirely mine. All of that was gone now, sacrificed on the altar of family drama and property rights. But I'd watched those sunrises, hadn't I? I'd had those mornings. Jessica never would. That was enough. The heavy machinery moved in at 2:30, scooping up rubble, loading it into dump trucks. They worked with impressive efficiency, the kind that comes from years of experience. By 4 a.m., half the debris was gone. By 6 a.m., all that remained was the foundation and some scattered concrete chunks. By 8 a.m., even those were gone. The lot was scraped clean, just bare earth and the concrete pad that had been under the house. Derek's crew had even raked it smooth. I sent him a message, "Looks perfect. Thanks for everything. Pleasure doing business with you. Invoice coming this afternoon." I made coffee and got ready for work. My phone started ringing at 8:47. "Jessica." I let it go to voicemail. She called again. Voicemail. Third time, I answered. "Hey, what did you do?" She was screaming, actually screaming. "The house is gone. It's gone. There's nothing here." "What do you mean, gone?" "Gone. Demolished. Destroyed. There's nothing but dirt. The moving truck is here and there's nothing." I let the silence stretch for a moment. "That is unfortunate." "Unfortunate? Amanda, what did you do?" "I demolished my house," I said calmly. "The one I owned. The one that was mine to do with as I pleased." "You," she was sputtering, incoherent with rage. "You can't, that was going to be, You were going to steal my house?" "Yes, I know. That's why I tore it down." Mom and Dad agreed. We all agreed. Interesting thing about real estate, Jessica. The only person who needs to agree about what happens to a property is the person whose name is on the deed. That would be me. I heard her passing the phone to Brian. His voice came on, trying for reasonable. "Amanda, come on. This is crazy. You destroyed $1 million property out of spite?" $1 million too, actually. And yes. That's insane. You could have sold it, made your money back. I didn't want the money back. I wanted to make sure you couldn't have it. Mission accomplished. I heard Jessica shrieking in the background. "Tell her about the furniture. We have a truck full of furniture and nowhere to put it." "Ah yes, the furniture," I said. "What did you spend on that?" "I'm guessing, 50,000? 60? 70, Brian said tightly. "Ouch. Where's it going to go now?" "You know we don't have room in our house. We sold our old furniture to pay for the new stuff." "That was a choice you made. A bad one, apparently." Jessica grabbed the phone back. "You're evil. Actually evil. How could you do this to us? To your family? The same way you could decide to steal from me, I guess. Only I did it legally. Mom and Dad are going to hear about this. I imagine they will. Enjoy explaining how you tried to steal their daughter's house. I'm hanging up now. And Jessica? Lose my number." I ended the call and blocked her. Then I blocked Brian, and Mom, and Dad. I'd said everything I needed to say. The calls kept coming anyway, to my work phone, from unknown numbers. I finally turned off my phone entirely. At lunch, I drove to the bank and made a generous donation to a housing charity. The amount was almost exactly what the demolition had cost me. Felt right somehow, making sure that money went to people who actually needed homes rather than people who just wanted free real estate. My boss stopped by my desk that afternoon. "Hey, Amanda? Your sister's calling the main line. She sounds upset. Family drama? Can you have reception block her number?" He raised an eyebrow but nodded. "Sure thing. You okay?" "Never better." That weekend, I got a certified letter. My parents were threatening to sue me for destroying family assets. I forwarded it to my lawyer with a note, "Please make this go away." She called me an hour later, laughing. "They have absolutely no case. The property was solely in your name, you can do whatever you want with it." I've drafted a response. Want me to include a cease and desist? "Yes, please. And make it clear that any future contact will be considered harassment." "You got it. Amanda? I don't know what happened, but I'm sorry your family put you through this." "Thanks, Karen. I appreciate it." The story started spreading through my extended family. My aunt called, shocked. "Amanda, sweetie, is it true? Did you really tear down the beach house?" "Every word." "But why?" "Because it was mine, Aunt Linda. And they tried to take it." "Your sister says you did it out of spite." "Your sister is probably right. But it was still my house to tear down." She was quiet for a moment. "You know what? Good for you. Jessica's been an entitled brat since she was 5. Someone needed to stand up to her eventually." That was surprising. "Really? Really? Your mother spoiled her rotten. Always has. At least you've got a spine. Call me if you need anything." More relatives came out of the woodwork over the next few days. I was surprised how many of them supported what I'd done, or at least understood it. The family wasn't as unified behind Jessica as I'd thought. My cousin Marcus texted me, "Heard what happened. Epic power move. Want to grab dinner?" My grandmother called, "Your mother's furious but she'll get over it. She always does. That was your house, sweetie. You do what you want with it." Even my uncle, Mom's brother reached out, your mom called. She's upset. But between you and me, I always thought she babied Jessica too much. You worked hard for what you have. They had no right? 2 weeks later, I was at a work happy hour when I got an email from a journalist. A friend of Derek's had apparently mentioned the story, and now someone wanted to write about it. Woman demolishes own beach house rather than let family steal it was the proposed headline. I called Derek. Did you talk to a reporter? Yeah. Sorry. Might have mentioned it to a buddy. Didn't think he'd run with it. It's fine. Actually, it's perfect. I called the journalist back. I'll give you the story on one condition: you get quotes from everyone involved. I want my family's side included too. She agreed, and 2 days later, the article dropped. It went viral immediately. Within hours, it was everywhere: Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, the morning news shows. Entitled "Family Tries to Steal House, Owner Tears It Down Instead" was trending worldwide. The comments were overwhelmingly on my side. She literally bought it with her own money and they just decided it was theirs? What the actual hell? The audacity to ship furniture to someone else's house and then call them selfish for stopping you. This is the level of pettiness I aspire to. Queen behavior. Imagine the mother thinking she has any say in what her adult daughter does with her own property. My phone, still blocked from family numbers, started getting messages from friends. They'd seen the article. They were impressed, horrified, entertained. One friend sent me a meme someone had made, a picture of rubble with a caption "How to share with family." The attention was overwhelming but also validating. For years, my family had made me feel like I was the problem, the selfish one, the difficult child. Now the entire internet was confirming what I'd always known: they were the crazy ones. Jessica tried to do damage control on Facebook. She posted a long, rambling thing about family values and sharing how I'd always been cold and distant. The comments tore her apart. You tried to steal her house and she's the cold one? Sharing means asking permission first, genius. Family values doesn't mean I get whatever I want. She deleted it within an hour. Mom tried a different approach, going on local news to talk about how social media was destroying families and young people didn't understand respect anymore. The interviewer asked, point blank, "But wasn't it your daughter's house to do with as she pleased?" Mom sputtered. Well, yes, technically, but families should. So you encouraged one daughter to take another daughter's property without permission? It's not like that. The interview ended shortly after. It also went viral, but not in the way Mom had hoped. I watched that clip 7 times, each viewing more satisfying than the last. Mom had always been so careful about her image, so concerned with what the neighbors thought, with maintaining the appearance of a perfect family. And now she'd gone on television and admitted to supporting theft, all while trying to take the moral high ground. The comments on the video were brutal but fair. The cognitive dissonance is strong with this one. She really went on TV and said yes, we tried to steal from her, but she's the disrespectful one. This is what happens when the golden child never hears the word no. My phone had been blowing up with interview requests. Morning shows, podcasts, even a true crime podcast that wanted to do an episode on family betrayal. I declined them all. The story was out there, I didn't need to keep telling it. But I did agree to one thing, a follow-up article where I could explain, in my own words, why I'd done it. The journalist was respectful, asked good questions, didn't try to paint me as either a hero or a villain. What was going through your mind when you authorized the demolition? She asked. Clarity, I'd said. For the first time in years, everything was clear. They were going to take something that was mine, something I'd worked for, and there was no reasoning with them. So I made sure there was nothing to take. Do you regret it? Not even a little bit. The house was beautiful, but it was just a building. My peace of mind is worth more than any structure. What about your relationship with your family? What relationship? They saw me as a resource, not as a person. When I stopped being useful to them, I stopped mattering to them. The demolition just made that explicit. The article came out 3 days after the interview. It was thoughtful, nuanced, and made me look sane instead of crazy. The comments section filled up with people sharing their own stories of family members who tried to claim their property, their money, their success as communal resources. My brother tried to move into my condo while I was on a business trip. Changed the locks when I got home. My parents gave my college fund to my sister for her wedding, said I'd make more money anyway so I didn't need it. My uncle sued me for his share of my inheritance from my other uncle, claimed family should split everything equally even though we weren't equally related. It was validating and depressing in equal measure. How many people had families who saw them as ATMs? How many had to set boundaries with explosives and bulldozers because words weren't enough? I started getting messages from strangers, people who'd seen the story and wanted to thank me for standing up for myself. Some of them were dealing with similar situations and wanted advice. I tried to respond when I could, always with the same message: document everything. Protect your assets. Don't let guilt make you a victim. One message stood out. It was from a woman named Sarah, about my age, who'd been dealing with her parents trying to claim her house as family property for months. Your story gave me the courage to say no, she wrote. I talked to a lawyer. I changed my locks. I told them if they tried to enter my property without permission, I'd call the police. They're furious, but for the first time in my life, I feel like I own my own life. Thank you. I sat with that message for a long time. The demolition had been about protecting what was mine, about sending a message to my family. But apparently, it had become something bigger. A symbol of drawing lines, of refusing to be taken advantage of valuing yourself over their expectations. I hadn't meant to start a movement, but apparently, I had. My friend Marcus called that week. You've become like an icon for boundary setting. People are calling it pulling an Amanda. As in, my mom wanted to move into my spare room rent-free indefinitely, but I pulled an Amanda and told her no. They're demolishing houses? I asked, alarmed. No. It's more metaphorical. Like, taking drastic action to protect yourself from family overreach. You're a verb now. Congratulations. I didn't know how to feel about that. Pride? Embarrassment? Both? There's a Facebook group, Marcus continued. Support for people who had to pull an Amanda. It's got like 50,000 members. People sharing stories, giving advice, supporting each other. You're joking. I'm really not. You want me to send you the link? God, no. That's too weird. But I looked it up anyway, later that night. The group was real, and it was exactly what Marcus had described. People sharing stories of standing up to entitled family members, celebrating small victories, encouraging each other to hold firm. One post caught my eye. Thanks to this group, I finally told my sister she can't borrow money from me anymore. She called me selfish. I called her a thief. We're not speaking. And I'm okay with that. The comments were full of support, of people saying good for you and you did the right thing. It was like a whole community of people who'd been waiting for permission to protect themselves. I closed the browser feeling strange. The demolition had been personal, vindictive, a scorched earth response to a specific violation. I hadn't thought about it inspiring anyone. But here were thousands of people finding strength in what I'd done, using it as a template for their own boundaries. Maybe that was worth more than the house had ever been. My therapist, Dr. Richards, had a field day with all of this. I'd started seeing her a year ago, originally to deal with work stress, but the family stuff had inevitably come up. How are you processing the attention? She asked during our next session. It's surreal, I admitted. I destroyed my own property to keep it away from my family, and now I'm apparently some kind of folk hero for it. And how does that feel? Weird. Good? I don't know. I didn't do it for anyone else. But it's helping other people anyway, she pointed out. Does that change how you feel about the decision? I thought about that. It makes it feel more justified, maybe. Like it wasn't just petty revenge. It was making a statement about self-worth. Was it petty revenge? Oh, absolutely, I said, and she laughed. But it was also necessary. Those aren't mutually exclusive. No, she agreed. They're not. You know, Amanda, in all the time we've been working together, I've never seen you this certain about something. Usually, you second-guess yourself, wonder if you're being too harsh or too demanding. But with this, there's no doubt. She was right. I hadn't questioned the demolition once. No regrets, no wondering if I'd overreacted, no guilt. Just pure certainty that I'd done what needed to be done. I think, I said slowly, it's because for once, the consequence matched the violation. They tried to take something huge from me, so I made sure there was nothing to take. It's proportional in a way that just saying no wouldn't have been. Dr. Richards nodded. And that's something you've struggled with in the past. Finding proportional responses. You tend to either let things slide or, in your words, go nuclear. This was nuclear, but it was yours to detonate. I like that, I said. Mine to detonate. So what's next? She asked. You've set the boundary, sent the message. What does Amanda do now? I smiled. She builds something new. Somewhere they'll never find it. 3 weeks after the demolition, I got a package at work. Inside was a thumb drive with a note, thought you might want this. Derek. I plugged it in. It was all the footage from the demolition, professionally edited together with timestamps and multiple angles. The house collapsing, the cleanup, everything. There was even aerial drone footage of the empty lot at sunrise, peaceful and perfect. I watched it 3 times. That night, I started looking at property in Hawaii. If I was going to build another vacation home, it should probably be farther from my family this time. Maybe on a different island. Maybe with a gate and serious security. My lawyer called a few days later. The lawsuit's been dropped. Your parents' attorney apparently told them they were wasting money. Also, I got a call from your sister's lawyer. Jessica has a lawyer? Had. She wanted to sue you for emotional distress. Her lawyer quit when she explained the situation. I laughed until I cried. 4 months later, I was designing a new place in Maui when I got an email from an unfamiliar address. The subject line was "I'm sorry." It was from my dad. "Amanda, I've been doing a lot of thinking. Your mother and I were wrong. Jessica was wrong. We had no right to treat you that way or expect you to just hand over your property. I know I didn't stand up for you at that dinner, and I should have. You've always been independent and successful, and instead of being proud, we treated you like you owed us something. I don't expect you to forgive us right away, or maybe ever. But I needed you to know that I see now what we did, and I'm ashamed. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. Love, Dad." I read it twice, then saved it to a folder. Maybe someday I'd respond. But not today. 6 months after the demolition, I flew to Maui for the groundbreaking on my new place. It was going to be bigger, better, with state-of-the-art security and my name on everything. No spare keys, no copies, no chances. As I stood on the empty lot, watching the sun set over the Pacific, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Amanda?" It was Jessica. She sounded different. Tired. "Please don't hang up." I waited. "I'm calling to apologize," she said. "Really apologize, not just because Mom told me to. What we did was wrong. What I did was wrong. I convinced myself that because you had more, you should share, but that's not how it works. That was your house. You earned it. And I tried to take it because I was jealous." "Jealous? You've always had your life together. Good job, your own money, independence. I got married young because it's what Mom wanted, had kids because it's what was expected. And I look at your life and I'm just envious. So when I saw you had this beautiful house, I convinced myself I deserved it more. That you didn't need it. But that was just me trying to take something from you because I couldn't be you." I sat down on a nearby rock. This was not what I'd expected. "I'm not asking for forgiveness," she continued. "I just wanted you to know that I get it now. What I did was theft. What Mom and Dad did was enable that theft. You had every right to protect what was yours. And honestly, tearing it down was kind of brilliant. Scorched earth. If you can't have it, nobody can." Despite everything, I smiled. It did make a point. "The most expensive middle finger in history," she said, and I heard a hint of the sister I'd known before everything got complicated. For what it's worth, I'm in therapy now. Trying to figure out who I am beyond Mom's expectations. It's hard. "Yeah," I said. "It is. Anyway, I'll let you go. I hope you build something amazing, wherever you are. And I hope someday you can think about me without getting angry." "Jessica?" "Yeah?" "I'm not angry anymore. I was, but now I'm just free." She was quiet for a moment. "Good. You deserve to be." After we hung up, I sat watching the waves for a long time. The old house was gone. The family drama had settled into an uneasy peace. And I was about to build something new, something that would be entirely mine, something nobody could take from me. My phone buzzed. "Derek, saw the Hawaii permits came through. Need a contractor?" I smiled and typed back, "Thought you'd never ask." 6 months of construction later, I had a new house. 3 bedrooms, all facing the ocean. Security system that could probably protect a federal facility. And a guest room that would stay empty until I decided otherwise. I sent one photo to my dad. Just the sunset view from the deck. No words needed. He responded, "It's beautiful. Proud of you, kiddo." I didn't send anything to Jessica or Mom. They'd see it eventually, probably through Dad. But this house wasn't a statement to them. It was a statement to myself. I could lose everything and rebuild. I could tear down what wasn't working and start fresh. I could set boundaries with concrete and demolition charges if that's what it took. The first night in the new house, I sat on the deck with a glass of wine and pulled up a video of the old house coming down. I watched it one more time, remembering the satisfaction I'd felt, the pure vindictive joy of destroying something rather than letting it be taken. And then I deleted it. I didn't need it anymore. The lesson had been learned. The boundary had been set. The message had been received. I was finally free to build something new. Something nobody could touch. Something entirely mine. As I deleted the last photo of the demolition from my phone, I heard a text come through. "Aunt Linda, heard you built a new place. Can I visit?" I smiled and typed back, "Doors always open for you." Because that was the thing about burning it all down. You got to decide what rose from the ashes. You got to choose who was invited to the new version of your life. You got to write the rules. And rule number 1? Nobody gets to take what's mine. Ever again. I raised my glass to the ocean, to new beginnings, to expensive lessons learned. Cheers to scorched earth, I whispered and took a sip. The waves crashed against the shore, and somewhere back in Florida, there was an empty lot where a house used to stand. A monument to boundaries. A memorial to family dysfunction. A testament to what happens when you push someone too far. I pulled out my laptop and started sketching ideas for the interior design. This time, there would be a library. A home office with the best tech money could buy. A meditation room facing the sunrise. And a very secure lock on the front door. My phone rang one more time that night. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. When I checked it later, it was Mom. "Amanda, your father showed me the photo. It's lovely. I suppose you're happy now, having cut us all out. I hope it's worth it." I deleted the message and blocked the number. It was worth it. Every demolished brick, every loaded dump truck, every severed family tie. Because at the end of the day, I'd learned the most valuable lesson of all: sometimes the only way to win is to make sure nobody else can either. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is, "This is mine, and I'd rather destroy it than let you have it." The demolition had cost me $1 million and change. My peace of mind? Priceless.